If you wanna find me, yeah, I'm in the front row. Got my 2 tickets on me, I'm in the front row. It's the best place to be, I'm in the front row. Best place to be, yeah. If you wanna find me, yo, I'm in the front row. Got my 2 tickets on me, I'm in the front row. It's the best place to be, I'm in.
What's up, y'all? Welcome back to the In the Front Row YouTube channel. This is another new episode for you of Double Trouble. We are super excited. Remember, we post every Friday, so go ahead and subscribe so you can get those notifications and you don't miss out a thing. I think it's the other side. Yeah. Alrighty.
We have, you run the page, not me.
Dustin and Dylan alongside with you. We have a lot to chat about today, and we want to start with kind of local news here in Los Angeles and talk about
a news reporter. Local news.
talk about the Los Angeles Lakers, who really have hit kind of a bump in the road, we should say, have lost 4 in a row. It started with the Nets, Heat, Wizards, and Jazz. So 4 in a row, they fall into 3rd in the Western Conference. They're behind the Jazz and the crosstown rival Clippers. Your initial reaction when you've heard the Lakers have lost 4 in a row?
Yeah, I think the sports world, it's all about right now. I think they've made too much of it. I think Anthony Davis has been hurt ever since he went out with that Achilles. I believe it's Achilles, right? Ever since he went out with an Achilles. I think they've lost 4 in a row since then. You can't judge the Lakers on, without Anthony Davis because they're so top heavy. They're not this deep team like the Utah Jazz, that we can talk about a little bit, but they're not a deep team at all. And so they have 2 MVPs and obviously LeBron and Anthony Davis, and then they kind of have other guys. So if one of those guys goes out, obviously you're going to be compromised. And also LeBron is 36, so, a little hard for him to carry a team at this age, even though he can. It's just like every regular season night is a little different. So I'm not too concerned. I know In the Front Row will give me a little bit of crap for this because I was on the Clippers last year. But I'm not too concerned about the Lakers. I think they're right where they want to be. As long as they make the playoffs, LeBron will give you a shot to get in the finals, and don't be too concerned because Anthony Davis, like I said, has been out, and they're a very top-heavy team, and Dennis Schroeder has been out too, which people don't want to recognize too. He might be their 3rd best player, or 3rd most important player. So both of them have been out. I think it's okay right now for the Lakers. If you want to lose them now instead of the playoffs. So if AD's healthy in the playoffs, the Lakers are fine.
Remember the NBA playoffs, best 4 out of 7. They can't lose 4 in a row there. But I think
can you beat the Lakers 4 times?
That's what I was kind of making reference to is obviously 4 different teams. I'm kind of intrigued by it, but I'm not buying it much. Like I'm not overreacting, especially with Anthony Davis.
In real estate, like the
no, especially with Anthony Davis being out, I think is a huge storyline. Your 2nd best player on the team. You have 2 of, arguably, I've said this before, the top 5 players in the league. Obviously, it depends on the list and who's listed.
Well, AD not this year, but
in the past, we've seen his talent in the past. We've seen what he can bring to Los Angeles. Schroeder's been out, which kind of your point guard organizes the team. It's a lot more of a bigger role than you think. That person they can call your plays. They can they get your team organized. It's kind of the IQ of the team. And
I don't have a lot of that.
As soon as that's a self-proclamation. I don't want to. As long as I think you get into the playoffs, you're fine. Especially with LeBron James as your leader. We saw what he did last year in the bubble. He was locked in the entire time. It looked like he was unbeatable. And I know I picked the Trailblazers, and that was a mistake. But but he looked like, if you look back, he looked like he was unbeatable. And then you had AD, who had that big shot in the playoffs to kind of show his clutch James in the bubble last year. And then obviously you had Rondo, the guy who you don't have this year. But I think Dennis Schroeder can step into that role. I think that's obviously going to be the question. Are the Lakers deep enough, and can Dennis Schroeder step into that role is going to be the big questions. If you look at the team in front of them, the Clippers are always out to play the Lakers. We'll see if they can do it in the playoffs. I've been saying that all season with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard as your leaders. We've seen Kawhi win 3 chips, right? No, 2. 2 chips. 2 off my game.
Are you predicting the future?
Yeah, no. We've seen Kawhi Leonard win 2 titles. And then, obviously, Paul George, we have to see that playoff peak come out that we have not seen so far. With the Jazz, I'm intrigued by Utah. I think they're I know people keep saying that the Clippers are the biggest challenge. I keep hearing this consensus in the NBA. I'm intrigued by Utah. I still think Portland can be the biggest challenge to the Lakers if they're healthy. Obviously, it depends if they're healthy. I've said that on Danny's podcast. But I think I think Utah, if I had to pick a kind of a dark horse, and that's weird picking a dark horse as a 1 seed.
Yeah, they're not a dark horse.
Well,
Get out
I'm
of
saying
here.
as a team that could compete
I get you.
with the Lakers, obviously, despite being third in the conference, the Lakers are still probably the favorite in the Western Conference to get to the finals. If I had to pick one team to outside of Portland, I think Utah could. I think Donovan Mitchell has blossomed into a superstar, and his motto for how he handles things is impressive. And I think he can lead a team. They have a good defense. They're running up. They're averaging over 126 points over the last.
Good defense.
Or 116. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Which one exactly? If I should have remembered that. But they're averaging a high amount of points. Their offense is striking on all cylinders. I believe they're the first team in NBA history to hit 53 pointers in back-to-back games. It's really playing well. Obviously, you're going to see them go through the spot where that's an NBA season. I want to see if their defense can hold up. They have a great coaching staff. I think it's going to be interesting. But again, you have to beat the Lakers 4 times. It's not like the NFL where you can play one really good game and advance through. Yeah. You have to beat them 4 times, and can Utah beat them 4 times is going to be the question.
Yeah, with Utah, I like how you transition there. With Utah, I don't think they're a challenge for the Lakers if the Lakers are fully healthy. Now, if Anthony Davis is compromised in any way or injured during the playoffs, I think Utah has a good shot. But if Anthony Davis is there fully 100%, if LeBron's there and Dennis Schroeder's there, the whole squad is there, I think the Lakers run through Utah. I think that Utah is compromised version of the 2011 Mavericks. But I think the NBA is different. Like, they have this one guy who's amazing. I love Donovan Mitchell. I think he's amazing. He's a superstar. But where else do they go? I think Rudy Gobert is a little overrated. Like, he's great defensively, but he's not going to give you much. Bogdanovich is there now, but in the playoffs, LeBron, anyone, not even LeBron, like anyone, Markieff Morris can shut him down. I think Utah, you do see these one-star deep teams win once in a while. Obviously, with Dirk, it happened. That's why I was mentioning the Mavericks in 2011, but I don't think they're a challenge for the Lakers. I'm just being honest. I know they're the 1 seed. I don't want.
Do you think Gobert could impact AD's game a little bit to make it a series?
AD's going to take him to school.
I'm asking.
Yeah, AD's going to take him to school.
I'm not saying answer.
If I'm a Lakers fan and the Lakers are fully healthy, I'm not worried about the Jazz. I am worried about Portland because you have a guy in Damian Lillard who is my favorite player in the NBA, and he's just clutch. He wants the moment. And obviously, once he gets his run, he's 5th in the West right now without his running mate, CJ McCollum, who's been out with an injury. So I think they're honestly the best backcourt in the NBA with McCollum and Lillard. And they added so much depth this year, which they're missing. They haven't played with Nurkic or Zach Collins this year. You got to realize that. So a lot of injuries. So once Portland gets back, I think Portland's a threat to the Lakers. The Clippers, they're tough, man. Last year, I was all about those Clippers, but can Paul George be the Paul George in Indiana? That's what I'm looking for. Paul George in Indiana was a bad man. He led the Indiana to those 7-game series against LeBron in LeBron's prime. You got to remember that in Miami. So I think the Blazers pose the biggest challenge to the Lakers, and I think the Clippers, the Clippers' problem is their mindset is just Lakers. So if they get to the point where if they can get past those teams like the Nuggets and get to the Lakers, I think they'll have a shot, but I don't see them doing that. I think they bounce out again, honestly, before the Lakers. And if I had to predict, I would take the Lakers and the Blazers in the conference finals if it obviously lines up that way with the seeding. And I would take the Lakers to get to the finals again. And I know in the firm I was going to hate me if they don't make – no, but what I'm saying is where I'm going is if the Lakers don't make the finals, I might be blamed for it. So if I'm hopping on the bandwagon and all of a sudden they don't make the finals – I'm not taking blame, but I'm never going against LeBron again. I said that when he beat, or when the Clippers obviously got bounced out and then they dominated the playoffs last year. I'm not going against LeBron. I trust LeBron. He's the best to ever do it, and I'm never going against again. So I would still take the Lakers if they're fully healthy to make the finals.
It's going to be interesting to watch. I think as long as if you're the Lakers, you have LeBron James, you're fine. You're always going to have a horse You're always going to have a horse in the race. Especially with LeBron as the stallion.
He's just figuring out his team. He has a new team, some new pieces. Yeah. He just figuring out his team.
It took them last year. They were, I believe they qualified first in the Western Conference.
It was like mid-season when they went on their run.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. It took LeBron part of the season.
It was like right for the lock.
Yeah, to figure out, and then he figured it out. They kicked it into high gear, and obviously it helped having Rajon Rondo. I think that was a lot bigger help than people state.
You have more talent.
Playoff. Yeah, the playoff experience is big. He was there before. I think Schroeder, can he step into the role, is going to be one of the ultimate questions at Los Angeles, and I hope the Lakers are for the Lakers and Lakers fans. Obviously, they're hoping he can step up into that point guard role and play the role that Rondo did last year. And they're not asking you to go out and get 30 and 15 a night. Like, they're asking you just to step into your role and be that guidance for LeBron and Anthony Davis. Not that LeBron needs any guidance. I mean, more of you set up LeBron, you set up AD. Yeah. Kind of just help filter and run the offense. Obviously, LeBron can do it on his own. We have seen that before.
I mean, he went to a finals and got 6 games with Matthew Dellavedova. So that's his second best player.
The Eastern Conference, you can make a run. I mean,
there's like 2 good teams.
There
is. There's to me, there's real quick, like if we're talking about the West, I know I think the West has like 6 or 7 teams that maybe have a shot. I still take 2 elite teams, but they have like 6 or 7. I'll be like, I'm not that surprised. The East has like 2. They have Philly and Brooklyn, and that's all I care. Like that's if anyone else makes it besides Philly and Brooklyn, I'll be surprised.
Yeah,
even including Miami. I don't think they're at this year.
I'm not as high on Brooklyn. I think
Philly's gonna make it.
I think Philly is obviously.
You're gonna have a Lakers Sixers finals.
I think
just to prepare everybody.
Philly is an interesting team to watch. I know you were. Gosh, I'm blanking out.
Yeah.
I think obviously Boston's going through its issues.
They need to get rid of my guy Brad, and they'll be fine.
I don't know. I'm always high on the Celtics for some reason, but I mean, I don't know.
They can't score.
Yeah, but Jason Tatum can step it up at any point. I think maybe they'll make a coaching
They've tried
change.
it for too long. Danny Ainge and Brad Stevens, and we can maybe talk about this in our next segment. Is that a preview? I don't know. But Danny Ainge and Brad Stevens are costing the Celtics. But we can wrap this up.
Yeah. Coming up, I guess we'll dive into the Eastern Conference for a bit and see what happens. So stay tuned.
If you wanna find me, yo, I'm in the front row. Got 2 tickets on me, I'm in the front row. The best place to be, I'm in the front row. So what's colder than ice and even hotter than a flame? I'll be in the front row chilling out.
Welcome back to Double Trouble, a brand new episode for you every single Friday. So go ahead and subscribe and follow us on social media at In the Front Row LA. We're quickly going to dive into the state
of
the Eastern Conference. Hey, we're new at this. We're still adjusting our show and getting the flaws out. The Eastern Conference led by the 76ers, who are in first, the Nets right just a half a game behind them, and then the Bucks, the Pacers, the Raptors, the Bulls, the Hornets, and the Heat wrap out
the Bulls
playoff
are in
race
the
so far.
Wow.
Yeah, they're 6th in the Eastern Conference. Your state, who's legitimate in the Eastern Conference? I know you kind of said Philadelphia and Brooklyn. Anybody else you're looking at?
No. I think Philly and Brooklyn are. I think Philly will make the finals. I think Doc Rivers was the best, if you want to say, acquisition in the offseason. I know not really as a player, but that was a great move by the Sixers to bring in Morey and then obviously Doc Rivers. I think that's amazing. So I would say Philly makes the finals this year. It's finally Joel Embiid's time. And if they don't make the finals this year, they might as well blow it up because I don't know what other shot you have.
You're going to have to do something. Obviously, Philly is the front runner first. Well, you could put them in Brooklyn. Yeah. Like I said, I'm not as high on Brooklyn yet. I don't know how they're going to match. And I think come playoff time, people will expose your flaws.
They're small.
Yeah, you have to play the same team multiple times. I don't know. I think you look at maybe the Raptors. They have playoff experience. Maybe a dark horse.
The Raptors.
They're
talking about trading Kyle Lowry. They ain't doing anything.
I don't know. I'm just trying to pick out some teams. And I wanted to.
It's like that Nick Nurse meme.
Obviously, I'm big. I'm always big on the Celtics for some reason. I don't know why. I think they'll turn it around. I think you have scorers in Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. You have a good duo, and it's a weak conference. I'm trying to pick out teams. I'm trying to pick out the worst from the worst here, okay? And I think if they sneak into the playoffs, you never know because Milwaukee, obviously they're 3rd in the conference.
Don't care about them.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Obviously, last year people thought, was this Giannis this year? This year people, maybe with less expectations, you'll never see what he does. And I wanted to mention the Heat. That's the team I blanked out on earlier. Yeah. I'm not saying they're going to get to the finals again.
I did last year. I got that right.
Yeah. I think they still have the talent they had. Can Tyler Hero step up and play? I think Jimmy Butler is going to be there, obviously. And last year, let's be honest. I know you were talking about them, but not a lot of people were. They were, 5th in the Eastern Conference? They came in 5th. They were playing the Pacers. I thought they would beat the Pacers. A lot of people still picked Indiana to move forward.
I did.
I'm not saying I didn't either. I picked the Heat. We can go back to the tapes if you really want to boost your ego. But I think I think I'm just saying, watch out for them. They weren't as
Yeah.
high last year. That's kind of their motto. I know people think Eric Spoelstra's an overrated coach because he had LeBron James. I'm not saying. I think it's kind of the media circulation. At some point, I don't think he is. I think he's a terrific coach. And just watch out for Miami. I think if Tyler Hero starts to play like he did in the playoffs last season,
he's 27.
The conference isn't that deep. So if they can turn it around, you never know.
You make me mad about Boston. You got to get off that Boston train.
I know. It was like the Iowa State train. When I picked them to go to the Final Four every year.
Yeah, when John King was there.
I finally had to hop off.
Yeah, I'm just saying, hop off that train. I was saying this a little before. Danny Ainge and Brad Stevens have cost the Celtics because they were so conservative. The only time the Celtics were relevant was when they got that buddy package that Danny Ainge got with the big three. But I just think if you look at it, Danny Ainge is, like I said, has been conservative. Brad Stevens is like that coach that is like, you know when something's fresh and new? Yeah. And he's like, oh, he's the young initiative coach. He knows what he's doing. My man, you've been in the league for, 4 or 5 years now? You can't play the young – you can't play – it's like playing that young child role that you always play, like the youngest child. My man, you got to step up at one point. Like, we can give you the baby role at one point. Like, oh, like, you're great. You know, it's fresh and new. We like it. But at one point, you got to step up, my man. Like, you know the X and O's, but can you motivate? And I don't think Brad Stevens can. I think the Celtics have been the most underachieving team in the NBA since he's been starting coaching there. Because like if you're looking at good teams, I'm not talking about like bad teams like the Timberwolves. I'm talking about like good teams. Like Brad Stevens has been so underachieving because he came in the league. He was great at Butler. He got him to the championship against Duke and that half-court shot. Almost. Yeah, I think
less force.
He had so many expectations, and people were like, "Oh, he's the new wave." It was like kind of like Sean McVay. Yeah, he's like Sean McVay in that way. He's the new wave. He's the guy everybody wants, and he hasn't done a damn thing. Like, what has he done? And I'm just saying, you have 2 stars. Like, could you imagine giving someone a role with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and the best? You've never got to the finals once. I think the Celtics need on Brad Stevens and start over and also with Danny Ainge, they never went for it. They had all these trade pieces that they had with, this is when Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown were young, and they could have went and got a superstar in his prime, and they never did. They backed out on every sweepstakes. They were like, oh, we got the team, and obviously you don't. And sorry, Boston fans, I apologize because I know you're very passionate. But you got to realize on the Celtics, man, like they've been so conservative for you. You're a go-for-it town. Like you have the Patriots, the Bruins, the Red Sox. The Red Sox have struggled recently, but they still won a title in like 2018. Yeah. Like they win. Like the Celtics have been disappointing, man. You haven't gone for it. That's your town motto, to go for it. Go get that superstar in the prime, and they just kept their team together, and now they can't score. They went for Kemba Walker, who I know he's injured this year, but he's supposed to be that third guy, and hopefully he can get healthy. But you have 2 stars now, and you still are 2 games under 500. It is embarrassing.
I'm not hopping off the Boston Celtics bandwagon quite yet. I think once Kemba comes back, I think I think he can add to the scoring. He can distribute.
They can't score.
Jaylen Brown can go off on any night. I'm big on Jaylen Brown, and I'm not.
I love Jaylen Brown.
I'm not taking the exit quite yet. I'm still. It's like it's a sinking ship, but I'm not.
I would.
I'm not getting off quite yet. We'll see.
Get off that freeway.
No, I'm gonna stay.
You should exit to like Philly. They're doing it.
Yeah, I mean, everything is measured in the playoffs. We have to wrap it up here. Leave your comments below who you think will get out of the finals, and if Boston's overrated. Are you back in Dustin here? Should they abandon ship? Go ahead and follow us on social media. The links are in the description, as well as in the front row in the front row LA. Also, go ahead and subscribe now so you do not miss a thing, and we will see you next time on Double Trouble.
If you wanna find me, yo, I'm in the front row. Got 2 tickets on me, I'm in the front row. The best place to be, I'm in the front row. So what's colder than ice and even hotter than a flame? I be in the front row, chilling out.